get off my stuff so I can check on the phone, because theoretically it should pop up on my phone. So, um, but if you want to go ahead, I can that we can I can mute myself. It, do me a favor, everyone, give a thumbs up if you can hear Carl when I mute myself. Go ahead, Carl. Yep, we're good then. All right, cool. You can't hear me, right? Good. Go for it.
Training, teaching, self-development, inspiration, industry, as well as having, businesses and real jobs and all those other things. But I've always been a student of learning, and goal setting is such a, for lack of a better term, it's a very vast area. And it really needs to be broken down into bite-sized pieces, which is kind of interesting because it seems from what I've read and come to understand that Agile and Scrum is right along those lines. As you're working on projects on short time frames where you're breaking them down into bite-sized pieces so you can get them done in a step-by-step type of fashion. So the way that I've laid out the book is to literally give you just a couple of insights and ideas per day, and then an exercise to write down a few goals. And then we come back the next day and you learn a little bit more, and you write down the same first set of goals that you wrote down the day before, and then you write down your next set of goals for the day. And then you come back, and it takes about 5 days. And one of the things I've been recently working on, I'm trying to just create kind of a 12, I don't want to say a 12-step process, but let's just call it 12 ways to help simplify goal setting. Um, and it really comes from my first book, but I'm trying to actually recreate it to make it just as a simple handout type of thing. And there's a lot that goes into it, and especially in what you all are doing with your specific projects. I'm sure you all have heard the phrase and are familiar with the concept and the idea of reverse engineering. So let's just use that phrase or that idea in a goal setting scenario. And what that means is, and again, trying to stay within your technology, your industry, etc. So you have a specific project, you're at A starting point, and you want to get to Z ending point. And of course, you say, okay, this has to happen in a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever it happens to be. Well, then I like one way to help keep it simplified and use a little sports uh, analogy would be like a football game has 4 quarters. So you take this project, this goal, this concept or idea that you've now said, here we are at step A at this date, and here's where we want to be at step Z at this date. And then you literally break it into 4 quarters. You go to halftime and you say, okay, halfway between, where do we have to be in order to still be on track to hit that goal? And then you can take from the halftime and move to quarter, your first quarter, and say, okay, so now we'll keep it simple for the numbers. We'll make it a 4-week project. So week one, at the end of week one, we have to be here, first quarter. At the end of week 2, we have to be here, halftime. At the end of week 3, we have to be here. At the end of week 4, we have to be there. So you set goals within the goals to help assist you in the process. And there's so many different things that goes into it. Just some of the bullet points or key points is, obviously you have to have a starting point. You have to write down the goals. There's a lot of people that you could talk to 100 people out on the street and say, hey, do you have goals? And 99 out of 100 people say, well, of course I have goals. And you'll say, fantastic. Where's your book? Break them out. Let me see what your goals are. Well, what do you mean? Your written goals, the goals that you want to achieve. Oh, I don't have them written down. I just have them up here in my head. Well, they're always going to be in your head if that's the way you roll. So I'm a firm believer in write down the goals, determine the starting point that, okay, today without excuse, without cause, or tomorrow or the 17th or whatever day it is, I'm going to begin this project. And then you're, of course, going to set a deadline as well. You have to have a starting point and a finishing point. Now, I don't know for certain, but I'm assuming in the technology field and in the Agile and Scrum, you don't necessarily always have what would the word be? The leisure ability to, oops, gee, I didn't hit that goal, we'll just reset it. Something about goal setting is, and it's something I also teach in the course, is that it's okay if you don't hit the goal completely. What you're going to find out, you're going to analyze how far you got, how you got there, what your obstacles and your challenges were, and then you're going to be able to reevaluate the process that you went through, and you're going to say, okay, these are the things I learned that I need to do, and these are the things I learned that I should not be doing. And so that allows you to kind of analyze where you're at with the project or the goal, the specific goal, in the event that you have not achieved that particular process. And that allows you to kind of, with lack of a better term, back up and regroup, start again, reset the goal again. Now, of course, your second round should be a much shorter window, because you should, in theory, have 70, 80, 90% of that project completed. And a lot of times there's outside influences. I mean, the internet could go down. Whatever your project you're working on, something changes. Somebody comes in and interjects a side street, a fork in the road that you have to deal with. So there's a lot in it. And one of the reasons why I, again, keep going back to the idea and the concept of simplified is because you can get lost just in the whole concept of proper goal setting. And you could spend more time. There's a phrase in the industry called paralysis by analysis, where you're so busy trying to learn it and figure it out that you don't make any forward movement. So, and then of course as you're moving through your goal setting process and your project, you may find that you don't have all the answers that you need. So that means you're going to have to, access or find the necessary knowledge, and or find advice, a helper, a mentor, somebody that's going to answer those questions or get those challenges that you can't see the end result out of your way, just as a result of having a conversation with somebody, can sometimes completely open your eyes to a whole new path that shows you how where you were going was going to get you there, but this way might get you there much quicker. And I think that's really key. And a lot of people, I mean, I'm in the yachting industry by trade. I'm a full-time marine electronics technician. I am very well versed in what I do, but I'm also very naive to a lot of the stuff that's involved with the industry. The interesting thing about yacht and marine electronics is if you're not on top of the game 24/7, if you're not constantly using and programming and playing with all the buttons and everything, all the features that this equipment does, you can't keep up with it. So it's like I'm more responsible to make all the wiring look pretty, make everything all work properly, make all the breakers and fuse blocks and everything. So when you start clicking things, click, 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 everything comes up. It's all wonderful. Then the guy that I work under, my boss, for lack of a better term, he steps in and he starts doing with the laptop and making everything work properly. The challenge is 6 months down the road, I'm at the end of the next project and everything's changed again. Right now, the Miami Boat Show just occurred 2 weeks ago. And of course, Garmin, who's one of the number one electronics companies in the world, has literally just released all new equipment, and a completely new way of networking everything, because you'd really be surprised how we all use internet, we all use network and Cat5 cables and routers and all this stuff. Well, they all use that on yachts as well. It's all part of the integral communication system of the boat. And even the guy, my boss it's 25 years in this industry, he's just completely blown away by what they've recreated everything, and nobody has any idea what to do with it or how to make it work. So we're going through a whole nother learning curve all over again, which it's interesting to kind of bring my story back around before I get too far down a rabbit hole, is that I actually share with my boss. It's like, well, we've got 3 weeks to finish this project, and you need to know how all this stuff works. So what are you going to be doing today, tomorrow, next week, and the following week to make sure that we're in the right place, that we get all this stuff done? And I literally gave him like a quick lesson in goal setting. So that's, I'm not sure if I'm just rambling on, if this is of interest, is helping.
Can you hear me, Carl?
I can hear you fine, Greg.
All right, cool. No, it's spot on. And in the agile and software world, yeah, we reset our goals all the time. I would say there's some people in here that I know that are always resetting their goals because they're revamping how they do business too. So.
Yeah, and again, it's important and it's key to understand that you don't need to beat yourself up over that. What you do need to do is do your best. So again, the whole concept and the idea behind setting goals and goal setting and creating strategies and visualizing. I mean, you've got to be able to see the end result, whether it's something you can hold in your hands or whether it's something that you're holding in your mind. It's just important to do everything you can to get there. And then, as we said just a few minutes ago, when you don't get there, it's okay to reset the goal. It's just not okay to make it a habit. It's like, oh, well, I'll try, and if I don't get it done in 10 days, I'll just give it another 10 days, because then you're not putting in the devotion and the effort that you really need to do to make the process work properly.
That sounds like a problem we have, and people can thumb up with the what we call sprints in Scrum and Agile. We have these little time boxes, and that's a perfect example of what we want to call it rollover or carryover into the next sprint. I know Jerry's online. I don't know if he wants to give a thumbs up on that. I think his team probably, we got a couple of thumbs up here from people having to deal with that all the time. So when you do have that habit of carrying over, rolling over, how do you fix that? I mean, can you give us an example of what you do when you have people you mentor or coach and making their goals and achieving them? What do you do if they keep rolling over the same goal? What do you tell them?
A lot of times it can take a strategy session. And it doesn't have to necessarily be myself with the student, the customer, client, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes it can be done, and this is something I recommend with everybody. I just touched on a little bit ago about get the help or get the knowledge. Mm-hmm. There's one of two challenges within that, what you're calling a goal over or roll. I love goal over. A goal over or rollover. There's
Maybe
one of two challenges going. I'm sorry?
You should patent that one. Trademark goal over.
Yeah, there's one of two challenges there. It's either the individual or it's the attainable result is either too big or they're they're not doing what they're supposed to do. The mind is really interesting, and I've done a good bit of research around the, without getting into a science lesson, the reticular cortex is like a little pencil-sized thing in the back of your neck, and it's kind of the switchboard of the brain. And what happens is when the idea is here, and then the idea goes to here to the pen, and then the idea goes down onto paper, and now you have three different physical physiologies, whatever you want to call that, happening at the same time. And it will allow the mind to begin to believe that it can achieve. So just the idea of, and the constant, I write down, oh, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in the next 30 days. And I put it on a piece of paper and I throw it over there on my table. And 30 days from now, I'm like, wow, I didn't even lose a pound. Well, why not? Why not? Because I wrote it down and I put it over here and I never looked at it again. So the review, the consistent review, and most times you'll find when somebody is challenged, and if you guys work with teams or you have groups, a group conversation around this could be key or vital to the success of the program or the project, is that if you're not consistently having it in front of you and reviewing it and fine-tuning it and figuring out the challenges and the obstacles that you have to overcome, and then creating little mini sets of program projects, goals within the goal to figure out how to solve this particular issue, you're going to be kind of stuck on a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And you'll find that people, like I said, to me, it's two things. It's either the goal's unattainable or the person's lazy. I don't like to use that, but the person's they're not giving 100%.
Their energy's not into it, maybe, or something like that, right? Their why. One coach I listened to, they talks about your why. Why do you want to achieve that? Maybe their why is not strong enough to overcome their factors, factors and stuff like that.
It's actually on my list of the top 12 is the why. In this kind of, this is different than I want to own a Mercedes Benz, or I want to, I want to buy my dream home. When you're working within projects, it's kind of a different thing. So, do you really have an inside burning desire to make whatever it is that the end result is a result? Yeah. Or is it just a job? And that's where this is that's why I try to do a little preemptive studies and understanding of what this is all about, because, and again, back to goal setting simplified. Setting it, showing up to this event tonight was setting a goal. Mm-hmm. Even if you just opened up your phone and you went into your calendar and said, oh, at 5:00 I got this event, and it dinged and it reminded you to come do it, that's still a goal.
Yeah.
Waking up in the morning to go to work is a goal.
Hey, Karl, I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot or not, but do you have a little exercise that we can do related to goal setting? If I have like a stick, we all have stickies. I have a little sticky pad or something like that you do with people when you do your seminars, your coaching events and things like that, or from your goal setting packet that we can kind of do during this session?
I mean, it certainly everybody could get out a paper and a pencil and think of something that they need, want, or desire. And again, whether this is something within your field or what you're doing in your Agile and Scrum, or if it's something that you have personally or financially, we could do a quick, like, how do you do what I was just explaining? I mean, and that is, take out that piece of paper and write down, I want to retire my wife in 2 years, or I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 6 months, or I want to lose my wife in the next 6 months. Oh, did I say that out loud?
Thought you already
I'm the merry
did.
man, and I'm just trying to add a little fun to the event.
Yeah. So what is okay? You listen. Let's say I had 3 or 4 of those things as my goals.
Okay.
Should I work on all 3 or 4? Besides losing the wife, I love my wife. I don't want her to go. She's got to save me from my children. Anyway.
There you go.
Um.
Yeah. This is actually, I'm in the process. I'm currently building out the structure of goal setting mastery simplified, which is going to launch in June.
Okay.
Which is the second going to be really taking this lighthearted, carefree.
Oh yeah, show your book.
Yeah, this lighthearted, carefree book that's a whopping like 57 pages here, full of nice, cool pictures and color graphics and lines to fill in the blanks and everything else. This is gonna become 3 times this. It's gonna become probably more like about the thickness of the change book before I'm finished. And I'm not really gonna get into making it all flashy and colorful and everything like I did in this one. This was an idea to get people interested in, to find out whether they want to even listen to Karl with a K.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, even within the simplicity book, I talk about that. I actually take you through a process of creating 10 or 12 goals for 1 year from now.
Okay. Do you work on all 12 of them together, or you try to do one at a time, or 2, or do you
create the 12 so that you have a vision, an idea of the things you want to accomplish, then start breaking them down into bite-sized pieces and figure out priorities as far as which one carries the most weight, for lack of a better term, which is the thing that is the most important to you, which is the one you can get done the quickest. Because there's another interesting thing that happens with the mind and the competence of goal setting as you achieve goals and you reward yourself, whether that's just the proverbial pat on the back, or you take yourself out to dinner, or yourself and your wife, you do something to celebrate that goal, even if it's a small goal. The celebration allows the brain, which we all know that the chatter that goes on in here always is 90% of the problem.
Okay.
Because it's your subconscious constantly telling you, you can't do that. You've been told all your life you'll never amount to nothing. So, these are the things you have to overcome. And as you go step by step and you start to clear the path and you finish and complete the goals, your brain and your mind, everything starts to change, and it actually begins to become more efficient and work better because you're starting to believe in your own ability to do so. And that's one of the early ones. That's one of the early steps. Is first is have a desire, and second is believe. You have to believe that you can accomplish the goal.
I can ask a million questions, but I want to open it up to everyone who's on the meetup. If you have any question about goals, or you'd like some advice, we got Jerry's on there.
Absolutely.
He's got a question. Go for it, Jerry.
Hey, thank you, Karl. Hey, you had started this talk off by saying a goal for the day, which I thought was very interesting, because I don't know how many of us go into the day thinking, what are my goals? Like I believe most people think, what's my to-do list? What are my items I need to work on today? So is that like a mindset change that we should really look at this as being completing goals per day that would actually help change our mind and get us more focused on that?
It can absolutely be very, very helpful in the concept and the idea of training the brain. Something that I do I don't like to say try. I don't like the word try. I always do my best to say do my best. And what I do my best is to either, whether as I'm leaving this room at night, or on the tablet next to my bed before I lay down to go to sleep, I try to write out the things that again, the goals for tomorrow or the to-do list, as you call it. Yeah. If you turn your to-do list into a goal list, you may find it becomes more effective for you, because now it's like it's something that you, and again, reward yourself. Even if it's, I'm going to go eat a candy bar when I finish this, if that's your thing, or an apple or whatever it is. So yeah, I do my best to write 10 things down or whatever the things that are on my mind as I'm going to bed. And for two reasons. One, now they're already set for the morning. And two, you're not laying there in bed thinking about all the different ways you have to fix them. And there's so many studies out there that talk about the very early part of the day when you're coming out of at rest, especially if you do any kind of morning meditation, affirmation, breathing exercises, just waking up. I am grateful every morning when all 9 toes hit the floor. And that's a whole other story for a whole other day. I'm
oh no, you might have to share your toes. No, I'm saying you might have to share your. So if anybody doesn't, you have another book there? You have the other book?
A Limb for Limb?
Limb for Limb. Just so you all know.
The 100-year-old oak tree that changed my life, that turned me into an author.
There you go. Just a quick note on that. I'm talking to Karl. Is that were you cutting a tree down or something? And it
was a big branch for a neighbor. Big branch on a 100-year-old oak tree.
So the 100-year-old oak tree tried to take back out of his limb and stole his big toe, and he has to go in rehab for a year or so. Get back and
it took me a good 4 or 5 months to get back to where I could work, and that was right literally as the P word occurred in 2020 in January. So I was off the majority of almost an entire year as a result of the injury. That's kind of where the whole goal setting book and everything was created also, because the first book I wrote during my recovery was A Limb for Limb, which was extremely therapeutic and helpful. And then secondly was, now I'm looking at almost 6 figures of debt, and how am I going to get out of this? And of course, you need to have goals to beat down a mess like that.
Well, that, I think, didn't you also say you applied your own goal setting to quit smoking too?
Yes, I did.
So of some of those things that you talked about, how did you apply that, like in a daily goal or a longer goal? Did you use any of those techniques as a daily goal to quit smoking?
Interestingly enough, I did. I used reverse engineering.
Okay.
On the cigarettes. I literally got myself a little spiral, one of those little spiral notebooks, pocket notebook. Mm-hmm. And I wrote on day 1, in 60 days, I quit smoking.
Okay.
And then in 59 days, I quit smoking. And actually, let me back up a little further. I actually started with 60 days, and every cigarette that I smoked during the day, I wrote down the time, and I quit smoking. And as I sat there smoking that cigarette, I had a conversation with myself. Why am I still doing this? And what happened was I was never like over a pack a day all my life, never, mostly about a half a pack or so. So it was a little probably easier for me to do it. And of course, 60 something thousand in debt all of a sudden, it was also easier to figure out.
Financial always helps, right?
Yeah, because I was smoking the good cigarettes, American Spirit, that were moving up to about $10 a pack. So I literally had a conversation with myself with each cigarette that I had over the course of the day. And every time I wrote down at 8:05 a.m. on Tuesday, I quit smoking. Mm-hmm. At 9:45 on Tuesday, I quit smoking. And I got within the last 10 days, and I switched gears and I bought 2 packs of cigarettes. And now I put in 60 cigarettes I'm quitting, in 59, in 58. And I literally quit on a Sunday morning at like 10 o'clock was my last cigarette.
Okay.
And Sunday typically for me is a casual day of maybe a nice cocktail or two around noon, 1, 2 o'clock. And, then if there's something good to watch or some activity, a couple of beers, whatever. And that's one of the hardest things to do is not smoke when you're drinking. So
Yeah.
so literally, I put them away at 11 o'clock in the morning and made it all the way through Sunday. And I walked away and never looked back at them.
Well, that's great. So it's kind of interesting you say that. So in the process, and I'm kind of relating it to what we do in the Agile world and just in general, is that you actually changed your metrics and how you were measuring yourself as you went through the process. Because sounds like you decided you want to get even more fine tuned on how you're measuring your success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I touched on that a little bit earlier when we talked about, well, there's two different ways. You take beginning point and end point.
Mm-hmm.
You find the middle point, and you say, okay, in order for me to be here from here, I have to be at least here by this time.
Right.
And then you have to go from there. And again, you can either reverse engineer it or forward engineer it. Then you split that time again. And that's when you start saying, okay, so that means in the next 5 days, I have to accomplish these 5 things or these 10 things. And back to that multiple goals per day, you'll find, especially, again, these projects are a little foreign to me, what you're talking about. I've seen some of the flow charts and things like that I've seen online. You're going to find that potentially 2 or 3 of those 5 items that you want to get done in 5 days are symbiotic with each other. So in theory, you're actually moving the pegs on 3 different things at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it is okay to do multiple goals at a time, provided that you don't get lost in overwhelm. Because again, the mind is the one that gives you the most trouble anytime, because it's going to start saying, this is too hard. You're never going to do this. This isn't going to work. Right. You've been told all your life this is never going to work. What makes you think you're going to be able to do it today? And it's the chatter that to me is the majority of the challenge that most people have in achieving goals.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions about goal setting for Karl? I know I can ask another question. Everybody knows me. I've asked a million questions, but.
Well, I love it. I love the conversation.
Okay. We got John joined late. John Knight, how are you? And then Vivian, you got any questions?
Don't forget, you got to hit the unmute button if you want to talk.
Yeah, that's another part of this. It's all part of the practice, right? Make sure everyone's good on that.
This has been really good. I mean, I don't really have any questions. It's just, some of the goal for the day, that's something Greg and I did for a little while. We called each other at 5 o'clock in the morning, and, we text each other at 5 o'clock in the morning and set our goals for the day. And, I would text him my goals for the day each morning, told him, hey, thank you for your text or whatever. My goal this morning is to do this, this, and this. And it was really good. I mean, I think it was because it was like a journal, and it was helping as accountability as well. So
that's something that I don't touch on too much. That's a great question, or a great commentary, Rob. Appreciate that. It's something I don't really touch on too much with the goal setting simplified concept, because again, I'm trying to at least get people to create the habit and get an understanding of how to make it move forward for themselves. And in goal setting mastery, of course, accountability and accountability partner, we've all heard 1,000 times. I mean, that's not just in goal setting, that's in anything that you want to achieve in life. If you have somebody else that you have to answer to or report to, you're going to do more than if you're just working on your own with no supervision.
Okay, so Jerry had a question, then Vivian. So Jerry,
let Vivian go. I
all right.
Vivian go, and then I'll ask.
All right, Vivian, go ahead. You're.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Okay, so I have a question. When you set a goal and you're trying to achieve your goals daily, but constantly you get sort of like a setback every time. So one of my goals this year is to apply for about maybe 10 jobs a day and do some other stuff, but you come back the next day, you're getting oh no, refusal. How do you continue to navigate keeping the mindset of, okay, yeah, I need to continue applying till I get the right job or the right fit for me. So how do you manage that? Or how do you get yourself in a space where you constantly get setbacks after setbacks in order to achieve your goals?
Wow, that's really awesome. Let me just kind of reiterate and clarify. So what you're saying is you're doing your best to reach out to 10 people per day until you find that dream job or this job that you're looking to better yourself with, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're finding is you're getting 10 no's. Are you getting any, wow, I'm interested? Are you getting any kind of positive feedback in your quest?
Well, so far it's been probably like 7 no's and 3 nothing. So it continues like continual setbacks, like every day you do the same thing over and over again. But how to now manage it, to tell yourself, okay, regardless of whatever it is, I have to keep going and not feel down when you continue to get like setbacks in achieving the goals.
Yeah. Something that might help a little bit with this is, and again, it's hard to say not knowing the field or what it is that you're pursuing, but you just had mentioned that 7 definite no's and 3 people. I think you kind of said didn't even get a no, you got nothing, no feedback, no reply, no anything. If let's just call it 10 people and 1 person gives you some kind of positive feedback. Well, now you know, as you're approaching number 7, number 8, and number 9, where they're saying no, you can start getting excited because you know there's a yes coming, or at least a maybe, or a not now. And just if you are devoting yourself to making 10 contacts per day, then you should be rewarding yourself just for doing that, because that's a feat in itself, especially as you said, when you have to kind of pick yourself up and dust yourself off after each one. I've been through many challenges in my life where I've had to pick myself up and dust myself off. So am I shedding any light? Am I helping at all with this? Is there more you want to ask me to help clarify this a little better?
No, yes, you already did.
Does anybody else also? I got a point too, Vivian. One of the things, it doesn't hurt to ask if they said no, to go back and ask them, is there anything they were looking for that may have helped, or something, or something specific too that you can adapt. Don't hesitate to go. I mean, they already said no. So if you ask them if they have any feedback they can give you, some HR places won't let them per se, but it doesn't hurt to go back and ask, right?
Okay.
That might help out a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point. And, again, that's just, there's an interesting one. If they're I like to call it hee-hawing or wee-hawing. There's an interesting little question you can say, well, what's left to decide? Because then you're kind of putting them on the spot. And they're going to have to answer, well, we've got 6 other people we're going to interview in the next 2 days. We're really not sure that you fit. And that's what Greg just said was brilliant. You could say, well, why exactly am I not a fit? Because as he said, if they're already at the threshold of a no, you've got everything to gain and nothing to lose by picking their brain a little bit. And sometimes you'd be surprised that sometimes you may find that it could actually shift gears and reopen the door, or at least open in another crack where they may say, let me discuss this with my manager or my team, and let me get back to you on this, because they're now at least seeing that you have the initiative and the strength to stand up for yourself and ask the why. Make sense?
Yeah, it does for me. And also, Vivian, one of the things you might, if you want, since you are a member of the Meetup and all, you can always join my our Slack channel, at the 5amMesterScrum. It's free for anybody who's a member of the Meetup, so you can ask more questions too as you're going through your job search.
Okay, great.
Yeah, no problem. And Jerry.
Yeah, question. When we get to our favorite time of the year, January 1st, and everyone's thinking, goals for the year, and it almost becomes like, the kiss of death. What is it that prevents people, that from accomplishing them? Is the goal maybe too big? Maybe they didn't plan right. They don't have a vision. Everyone gets so excited setting goals and like hitting the gym and starting that diet, and then it's like a month later it just fell by the wayside. Like what can we learn from that?
That's absolutely fabulous. Something that I kind of begin promoting within my Facebook page, because I have a good bit of followers there, and I've just launched a new group that is actually called Goal Setters and Go Getters, which Greg will be able to refer you over to there and invite you into the group if it's something that makes sense for you. I kind of start in the middle of December telling people, don't set New Year's resolutions. Set goals. Because what you were just talking about, everybody's like, oh my God, it's January 1. I'm going to go back to the gym and I'm going to lose 10 pounds this month. And they say it and they don't mean it. In 3 days, their body hurts, and day 4, they're done. Now, it again goes back to the concept of clearly defined, written, and executed goals. Now, you could take a piece of paper and write 1 year from now and think about 10 obtainable and profound ideas, goals that you want to have for 1 year from now. And you can close that book and put it in a drawer. And a year from now, you might open it up and find out you achieved 3 of those goals. Because even just as simple as saying it, writing it down once can put things into motion to make that change. So again, most people that say they're setting goals aren't setting goals. They're just pipe dreaming. They're putting out to the, people think, oh, you just put it out to the cosmos, put it out there to the universe, and the universe will answer and it will affirm and I will attract it. And, if the law of attraction was really that powerful, we'd all would have won the lottery and we wouldn't be having this conversation, because we'd all be multi-millionaires, because that's what we wished for. So yeah, I'm a firm believer that, and again, unattainable is the other one. You can't be making 50 grand a year and write a goal that says I'm going to make $1 million in the next 12 months. Your brain is going to say no way from day one. You can be making $50,000 a year and say I'm going to be making 75 next year. That's something you could do. You might find out that you make 85 or 100, and then next year you can go, wow, I almost doubled. Let's try that again. But yeah, again back to the idea and the concept of goal setting simplified is the old phrase, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And the other one is always eat the frog first. So the hardest goal, the biggest hairy monster of the day is the one you should be tackling first and foremost every day. And what most people do is they come up with this concept, this idea, and they go after what takes the least amount of effort on their part, and then they don't understand why nothing worked. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Hey, Karl, one of the thoughts that kind of generated my mind was you mentioned a couple things there. One, make it a goal, don't make it a resolution, right? And then one of the things I've heard in the past is, and there's a lot of planners in this group, a lot of old project managers became scrum masters or something like that. And someone had mentioned that if you're going to make a goal, you got to make a plan to achieve that goal. So just the idea of just making that resolution isn't enough. Does that make sense?
Absolutely not enough.
Right. So you got to make a plan to achieve that resolution or goal. And if you don't make that effort to plan that out, and like maybe what you said is reverse it from, okay, come September, I want to, lose 10 pounds, or I want to learn a new piece of software, whatever. Okay, so what do you need to do backwards from that? And plan that way, maybe.
Yes, reverse engineering it.
Yeah.
We've all heard the phrase mind mapping.
Yeah.
Mind mapping is used in such a broad terminology nowadays. Once again, in order to sit down and write a book properly, you should mind map. You should say, okay, here's the end result. Here's all the things that need to be accomplished in order to make this happen. And you start with a center point, and you work and you go out for it. And then once you go out to here, it's like, okay, well, how am I going to get these things done? It's flow charts. As I said, almost everything I've seen on Agile and Scrum, as far as any kind of images on the internet, is all, like a funnel. I mean, anybody that's in the sales world and in the internet uses a funnel.
Yeah.
Where, hey, get my free 12 steps on how to simplify your goal setting. Click here. Oh, thanks so much here's your free thing. By the way, would you like my book? It's only $29.99. Oh, wow, you love my book. How would you like some coaching? It's $4.99. Right. That's a funnel or a flow chart. Yeah. So, yeah, it really has to be mapped out.
Or don't expect
and
change,
broken
right?
down into bite-sized pieces.
Yeah. I liked what you said earlier too. When you make your 12, you look at what's the most important, or what we would call most valuable, right? And then maybe something that's a quick return, which we also do that calculations. Now we'll use the word safe. Safe likes to talk about time of money, the time value of money. And do you do things that's going to deliver 2 years from now, or you do deliver some stuff now that's going to result in a revenue for the company, right? And when you said you could do multiple things, I think it'd be good to say to your team or whoever, take one of each. If you got a big return that's going to take 6 months to do, fine, but also do something that's going to be a month return or something, or a couple of sprints that you can show that you're getting there, and you can get some happiness out of that. Maybe.
Absolutely. That's again the idea of increasing the confidence and helping to train the brain to understand that, yes, I really can do this.
Oh, that's a great point. Training the brain that, yes, you can achieve your goal. So make a couple of small goals that says it's doable. I can do this.
Yes.
And maybe that's part of why everyone has a resolution issue, because they've made all these resolutions over years, never achieved any of those resolutions. So their brain is like, well, why you bother do it? You're just not going to achieve it.
Yeah.
So maybe we should make small little resolutions at the beginning of the year, small little things.
Yeah.
And
how does a dog learn to sit?
Treats.
Yeah, treats.
It's true. That is true.
After you finally teach it how to sit, then you teach it to give you your paw. Yeah. And what's it get for that? It gets treats.
Okay.
So the dog's brain is saying, "Wow, if I follow this instruction and I achieve this, I get treats."
Okay. Well,
that's why I said even earlier, if you like an apple or you like a candy bar, whatever your poison is, but find something simple, something that you don't typically reward yourself with, and reward yourself, because it's ingrained in our DNA that the pat on the back goes a long way.
We go so long in the, because
we have to pat ourselves on the back from time to time. That's where we all suffer the most, is we're so busy giving gratification to everybody else that we forget that we're supposed to start with gratitude to ourselves. If you're grateful for yourself, the rest of it gets much easier.
And that's a challenge, I think, as coaches or scrum masters in the scrum world, myself, is maybe it'd be a good idea to challenge the team. Well, pick something that you can achieve that you'll feel good about in a short period of time. It doesn't have to be grand plan, doesn't grand scheme, revamp the whole thing, take over, pick something that you can feel good about. So I like that.
Absolutely.
I like that. So we're getting towards the end. Is there any last minute questions or anything, or things that anybody would have? I want to invite Karl to one, show your books, talk about how people can get in contact with you, and definitely if you want Karl back, talk about some ideas. You're always more welcome back, Karl.
Well,
So go ahead and show your books that you
Sure.
have. If anybody's interested.
yeah. So Karl Fryburg, as you see on the screen, I'm Karl with a K and Fryburg. My name is extremely unique. If you Google me, these are both up on Amazon. But as I said today, we did this yesterday. It's like which hand, because everybody's backwards on. So goal setting simplified. Now you're not going to get this beautiful, pretty, colorful copy, but I'm gonna send Greg. I'm gonna send to you, or you can email me, and I'll send it out directly to everybody. A digital copy of the book. And what I've also done was I took the book, and in the back, it's kind of hard because we're on it. It's a little blurry, but
Yeah.
So each of the homework assignments has some lines on the page where you can come in and fill in your notes.
Okay.
What I did was I made an 8.5 by 11, just black and white. I took all the pictures and everything out. So I made literally a printable PDF of the workbook, of the workbook itself.
Mm-hmm.
So you can enjoy the nice colorful book, that's how it's going to come as the PDF, but you don't have to write in it, and you don't have to pay a small fortune to print a bunch of colored photographs on something you're going to scribble goals and such on. So my course is $247, which is it's about $1,000 worth of value. It's kind of what I just told you, except I mail you an autographed copy of the book. You get the automatic download instantly. And then about 10 to 15 days, when you feel that you've completed the course to the point that you have your goals written down and you've done the work, then we get on a one-on-one Zoom for 45 to 90 minutes. Everybody's different. Some people I've been done with in 30 minutes, and I've had to coax them into staying a little longer. And other people, it's like an hour and a half, and we're still going strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I record that and then send you the digital copy of it as well.
Okay.
So that's like my sell from stage thing that I do. I mean, again, it's, everybody knows the whole story. It's $795 value. That's $447. But if you get it today, it's $247. Well, right now It's always $247. I can't really go less because God forbid 50 people buy it. That means 10 weeks from now, I have to have 50 hours to get on Zoom in a week's time.
Yeah.
I don't have 50 hours. So,
I
had somebody offer me that they said, if I buy 10, how about if I make it $99 if I can tell you I can get 20 people to join it? It's like, no.
Yeah. So can people, they can reach out to me, or we definitely send it, I'll share it to the group, but people can connect with you maybe on LinkedIn, do a connection with you,
LinkedIn.
And then send you a message. Hey, Karl, I saw your presentation. I really would like a copy of your PDF for your goal setting book or something like that. And then
Facebook is where I spend the most of my time. I'm shifting over to LinkedIn, which you and I are going to have more conversations about, because I know you're becoming a superstar over there in that space. And
it's been a while.
At karlfryburg@gmail.com.
Okay.
Or karlfryburg.com.
Okay, just send a message.
Yeah. I can
Okay.
I can put it in the chat, or you can just email it out to, with your group. And something that Greg and I are also working together on and talking about is I'm going to begin publishing a monthly newsletter.
Okay.
And that's something I'm going to be offering up to your family and your group as well.
Good. I'll definitely gonna post it up. And I got a comment here on YouTube. Just make sure. I guess I got a clap here. I went back to Dakota Day. So they said hello. They're on YouTube. As you are doing this, we are broadcasting live in Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So, So sometimes I can respond, but they said hello. But thank you. We're down at the end Carl is putting out. I mean, I can do that. Hold on, Carl. Let me.
Yeah, I had to send them directly to you because it's not open, so they're both there for you.
Yeah, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, can I send this to you? And thanks a lot. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the message. I'm going to message everyone in the meeting. And I'll put that out. So if everybody wants his email and his website, putting the message out to everyone on our Zoom call. So you got that, but I'll post it too. I'll post it in the notes for the group and everything like that. If they want to get a copy and remind them, and then you could send me, or I could send it to them direct or whatever way, because that way they'll have the contact. I think they all have my connection. Everyone knows I watch everything.
I've got it as long as everybody's has. Well, you should have access to Gmail or to Google Drive, even if you don't have a Gmail account. But
yeah.
I typically put them up as links on there, but I actually have a document that has all of it in one document that has all those.
That might be good too to share, just that one pager. Like here's your one pager, give it a shot. And if you want, reach out to Carl and maybe you can set up a little session and see if you want to go further and get Carl's coaching on laying all that stuff out. So with that, I want to thank you, Carl, for coming. Everyone, thanks for joining our meetup group. I know it's always tough to be in everyone's meetup group and everything like that. But I want to thank you all. And I guess you all have a great day. Enjoy.
And I want to thank you all too. It's been a pleasure speaking with you all. I really enjoyed interacting and looking forward to doing this with you all in the future.
Okay, am I in the stream?
Thank you.